continue now with former Clinton advisor, author of the brand new book just out today, Catastrophe: How Obama, Congress, and the special interests are transforming a slump into a crash, freedom into socialism, and a disaster into a catastrophe, and how you can fight back. By the way, do you ever think of a shorter title?
Well, I believe in putting the table of contents on the cover.
You know, you start out this book, and you actually go in how Obama's causing a catastrophe. And you went back to your last book, Fleeced.
Right.
And you predicted all of this.
Well, in February of 2008, we wrote this line, and it was published in June of 2008, so it was way before the crash. We said in Fleeced, Obama's tax increases will trigger a stock market crash and devastate the already slumping real estate industry. A selling psychology often feeds on itself and can induce a market-wide panic. So the nearer Obama gets to power, the faster the markets are likely to dip. So look for a sharp downturn as Election Day approaches, and especially in the period between a Democratic victory and Inauguration Day. Obama will doubtless blame the drop on the outgoing Bush administration, but it would have been his own tax plans that send the markets into a tizzy.
Well, I hate to say that you're right. Look, Dick, it's a war on prosperity, but more, if we look a little bit more
deeply, it's no longer a war on poverty. It's now a war on prosperity.
It's a war on capitalism.
Exactly. And he is pursuing a European idea, an idea that is totally different from the American idea of economic growth.
You say a European drummer.
Yes. He follows the European dream, the idea that you redistribute income, that you segment society into classes, that you attenuate your economic growth in order to pass it out among everybody. And it's what he's doing in the tax laws, for example. He's dividing America between taxpayers and tax eaters. He's reducing the number of taxpayers, expanding the amount they pay, expanding the number that pay no taxes, and expanding the number that get money back from the IRS.
What do you make of the fact that the poll numbers up until recently have shown that he remains personally popular with the American people, but there was this disparity between his policies and the person.
Right.
And now that gap seems to have narrowed. If you look at Gallup and Rasmussen, you know, what do you glean from those new numbers?
Well, Obama is very vulnerable. Starting on Inauguration Day, he lost points every single week for 4 months, lost 13 points. Then there was the hoopla about the 100 days, and he gained it all back with the media hoopla about everything. Right. But since April, both Gallup and Rasmussen have him losing 13 points, and now he's back at his lowest. And I think that the thing is that his policies are going to prolong this recession, because they are not policies designed to end the recession. The recession was designed to pass his policies. The spending isn't a means to an end, it's the end.
See, I believe this too, because if the stimulus were supposed to be a jolt to the economy, Dick, it would have been front-loaded.
Exactly.
And I don't think it would have been as extensive. Now we got takeover of banks and financial institutions, all the things that this audience is very familiar with. But you go with a little bit more, you go a little deeper, into more detail. And you believe this is a blueprint for political domination.
Yes.
That he wants to take over, change, radically alter America.
There's a four-part strategy for political domination. First is immigration. He's going to open the borders and give everybody an easy path to citizenship and to voting. Secondly, talk radio. He's going to squelch it, not by the fairness doctrine, but by imposing licensing requirements on stations that diversify the ownership, which means they bring in liberals to own the stations. The census. He's going to cook the data to count people that aren't there. And union representation. He's going to force people to join unions. And that is his four-part program of political domination.
Yeah, and so, but the idea, though, in his heart and in his soul, as you predicted, and now you see the implementation of the radical socialist agenda, the weakening of our national defenses, his unwillingness to even speak out for freedom, as we've been discussing, showing weakness with North Korea, all these things. You know, you think it's about what? Who is this person? Look, I said this statement, and every time I say it, people say, Hannity, you're going over the line. But I think he is Bill Ayers.
Yeah.
And not the terrorist. I think he shares the political ideology. I think he is Reverend Right. I think he hit it well, but I think he's now implementing and proving me right.
I think he wants the United States to be like Germany and France. He wants us to be a socialist democracy. Now, we have a chapter in here, is Obama a socialist? Well, the way you define socialism is what percent of the economy does the government control? When he took office, it was 33%. After the stimulus package, it's 40%. After health care reform passes, it'll be 46%, and Germany is 47%.
Right.
So this, and his strategy for achieving socialism is in every Kentucky Derby race. He has one horse that the government owns that's on steroids, and nobody else can take the steroids. So GM is subsidized and it beats out Ford. The government-paid health care system is subsidized and it beats out everybody else. The banks that he's basically taking over will get federal aid and the others won't. And the idea is that the competitive marketplace awards the victory to the government-subsidized entity that then takes over the economy.
Well, look, we're really only beginning to touch the
There's
surface.
so much more in here.
It's now in the top 10 at Amazon and nonfiction, and I'm not surprised. And today you're just launching the book. It's in bookstores everywhere. I think you're right. I think history will be very kind to George W. Bush, and it'll prove that we conservatives that warned about him were right. But
well,
I don't want that to be the case.
Richard Nixon once said, history is written by liberals.
All right, checkmate. I give up. You're probably right. Thanks, Dick. Congratulations on the new book.
Appreciate it.
And it's in bookstores everywhere, Amazon.com, and I have it on my website, by the way, Hannity.com. And